Today we're going to look at a Legend 4 Enigma game in the offlane, and we're going to be answering the question of why Necro 1 Rush is now the standard build on Enigma.
Lessons that cannot be unlearned.
Right away we're going to see some action here, and with Queen of Pain joining in from the mid lane, you go on Lion, and a nice arrow here secures the first blood here for Enigma. Would have been better to leave this to Queen of Pain, but first blood is the first blood. Enigma started by eating the first range creep, but for some reason leaving those other ones behind. Not sure why. Definitely want to bring those along and try to help out with last hitting and so on. So the way laning with Enigma works is just you eat those range creeps, therefore the wave is going to push into you, and then what you really need to do is contest pulls. So the thing you can often do is just place a sentry ward here to block that camp, make it a lot more difficult for the enemy to pull. They can still pull this big camp here, but that pull is a lot easier to disrupt and contest. So because the lane is going to push back, it's much easier for the enemy to pull, so very important to prevent that from happening. Here Miranda is going to die, but they're going to get the return kill onto Lion. So he's bringing out some extra regen, a Salve, and then that Belt of Giant Strength for his Necro. I feel like he should have brought out a little bit more regen. Like he's going to eat that Salve right away, and then he's going to be stuck with just 2 tangos. Maybe an extra set of tangos here. He had the money, so I think that would have been quite important, because if you bring out the courier, that just means that it's going to be a long time before you can use the courier next, because it just takes so long for the low-level couriers to walk back and forth. So some extra regen would have been nice. So why go for this Necro Rush? Well, in the banned old days, Enigmas used to go for Blink Dagger as a first item, and that was fine as far as getting off black holes, but the problem is just black hole has such a huge cooldown. It's 200-second cooldown level 1, and so even if you get off the perfect black hole and you win the fight, you kill the enemy team, they're only dead for like 20 or 30 seconds, and then afterwards you have 3 minutes of downtime where you can't really do anything, because your item build is just designed to get off this one spell, and other than that, Blink Dagger is not that useful. Like, sure, you can blink in and get off like a Malefice or something, but that's really not that great. So instead, Enigmas for a long time went for Mech or something like that as a first item, and that was a bit better. The problem is just that Mech doesn't help you farm. It helps you fight, helps you push, but it doesn't help you keep up the farm. So Enigmas in the mid game going for like Mech into Grief, something like that, would just fall off in terms of farm, and would get their BKB blink quite late. So then Enigmas more recently started going for Helm of the Dominator. So Dominator is a great item on Enigma. It gives a lot of bonus damage for your Eidolons and just helps with the early game plan of just pushing, fighting with the team. It's a nice aura for your team, gives some nice sustain for your team. The problem just with Dominator is that it's not that helpful in terms of its build up during the laning stage. It gives you a bunch of stats and regen and damage, but that's not really what Enigma needs. What Enigma really needs is mana regen, because yes, it's demonic conversion, which is just incredibly expensive in terms of mana cost, because you want to spam it out. So you need some sort of mana item in the early game, unless you just want to buy a million clarities and mangoes. So of course you can go for something like a soul ring or mana boots, but if you buy that before Dominator, it really delays that timing, which is quite important. And if you buy it afterwards, you're going to have to use so many clarities and mangoes in the lane. So the solution to this problem is just to go for this Necronomicon 1. This provides you a lot of mana regen in the lane, because you can just start out with these 2 Sage's Masks, and then those build into Necro. You get that Necro really soon, because you're already starting out with a big part of that already built, and it just allows you to farm really well. You can see these creeps just do so much damage. They do piercing damage, so that's extra bonus damage against creeps. So a Necro 1 is a really strong farming item, and in combination with the Eidolons and those Necro units, you can easily do jungle camps while your hero stays in the lane or vice versa, and it just allows you to farm so much. And you're going to see this Enigma get really farmed in this game. And now you also find the Arcane Ring, which is one of the strongest tier 1 items. Gives you so much extra mana with the 10 int and the 75 mana every 40 seconds. So it's perfectly fine on Enigma just to skip boots at the start and just rush straight for Necro, and you can get boots afterwards. And this item just allows you to farm so much and then accelerate yourself into those Blink Dagger and BKB timings. And to be honest, Necro is in isolation not as good of an item on Enigma as is Dominator. It doesn't synergize as well with Enigma, but the thing is just the build-up is so much better, it gives you a much better laning stage, which is why people are going for Necro. But Dominator is still definitely a viable alternative, and in terms of actual fighting it's a bit better, but Necro 1 is still a fairly good fighting item, still does a good amount of damage in the early game. So we see a rotation here from Quap coming in. We're going to try to kill the Spectre. This Black Hole is fine. A good chance they would have gotten the Spectre anyway, but it's just best to make sure. And in the early game there's no real reason to be too stingy with your Black Holes. Just get those kills, especially if it's an enemy core, and especially if it's an important hero like Spectre. And just don't worry too much about that cooldown. Here you can see some of the pushing power of Enigma. It just do so much right click damage with all these units. Spectre gets arrowed here and barely escapes to the top here. And now they have to be a bit careful here with rotations coming in, and also with that TA coming into the shrine. So Enigma here far too far forward. That's way too greedy here when you always see someone TPing in there. You know they have that shrine, and just farming blatantly in their faces is not a thing you can do. Because yes, you do have a lot of damage with all these units, but you're still very squishy and can easily be killed. After going for the Necro 1, you generally want to buy some smaller items to fill out the inventory slots. Boots, of course, is obvious choice. You also want to buy a wand, helps you a lot in just being a bit more tanky, having a bit more mana to play around with. And also like maybe like 1 or 2 extra small items. You can get something like a Windlace, something like Raindrops, just to use those item slots and not let them go to waste. But in this game I think he's just going to go straight for the Blink Dagger, which I think is a big mistake actually in terms of itemization. Blink Dagger is not that great here because they have a number of ways of cancelling your ultimate, and on the other hand, they have absolutely nothing that goes through a BKB. So the Necro ultimate used to go through BKB but doesn't any longer. So the only thing that can really have to go through a BKB black hole is like eventually that Spectre is probably going to have a Basher and Abyssal Blade. But other than that, they have no way of cancelling BKB black hole. So for that reason, I think you should actually get BKB here as your next item, apart from some smaller items here. And then you're just going to have pretty much an unstoppable push, because whenever they engage onto you, can always get that BKB off and then get that black hole. And that's going to make it very difficult for the enemy to play in the mid game with that Spectre lineup. But in terms of the general game plan, I really like what our boy Azrael is doing here. He's just staying in the offlane here, pushing in that wave, and farming these camps, farming the camps in the triangle when they're empty, and just sort of being a pest here and just putting pressure onto that tower, because that tower is quite important to take, and it's also a tower that's difficult for the Dire to defend. So in terms of general game plan, everything going as you want it to here. And you can also just get a kill on this line here. I think you just blink forward here, blink past the Impale, and then just get that kill here. But he's not going for it. Of course, it would be a bit risky here, but it would have worked out here. Shadow Demon is also coming in here, and he's being engaged on. They use the Spectre ultimate for this. And now Azrael, he wants to fight here, but he needs to get a good opening here. Tries to go for that black hole, but it only catches the Spectre, and it's just too far forward here. And that's the problem with skipping all these smaller items. He only has this Necro, which only gives him 6 strength, and that Blink Dagger. If he had like a 1 tier with a couple of charges, that would have been a bit easier to actually survive here. Push is coming in the top lane. Unfortunately, Necro currently down, but still doing good amount of damage here with these Eidolons, which do normal damage, so they're quite good against towers. But you can see how easy it is to kill this Enigma, and we shouldn't be that far forward here. You have no business there, and just gets killed. And once again, if you had some more smaller items here, that would have been easier. Yet now has a 1, so that's good. And next item he's going for is Mana Boots, which is normally a good choice here in this stage of the game, but in this particular case I don't quite like it. You have the Arcane Ring, which kind of fulfills the same function, and I think it's just more important to get that BKB out. So it's just respawned now, and Blackwell is about to come up online again, and now he's going to go for this Blink Black Hole. And problem is he doesn't really see what is going on. This is a player perspective. If you're going to blink there, you need to actually move your camera there and get a proper look of what's going on here. But instead he's just going to blink in more or less blindly here and goes for that black hole, which, you know, from here it looks like it might hit that Necro, but actually it's not going to. So if you look at, just put it on free camera, you can see it's not hitting him, but because he was so far back here, you didn't really see that properly. So it's important, just move your camera there first and then think about where you can black hole. So he just gets the one target and doesn't get interrupted here because he got the one target they couldn't interrupt him, so that's good, I guess, but it's also the least valuable target. So it doesn't really do that much. And yeah, like he killed the Lich, fine, but he's going to die here, and his team is coming in, so this is still going to be a good fight, but it could have been so much better with a proper black hole with some more patience here, getting maybe at least 2 of those heroes. So the whole of the fight is still a success, but could have been so much better. So now he goes to push out the dead lane, which is fine. You have those summons, you have those Necro units, you can use those to push out the lane, and you also see some heroes here, so this is reasonably safe. But you don't want to show yourself for here too long, because this is the most dangerous lane to push, so have to be careful. And also a problem with that TP, of course, means he can't help out his team, but since the enemy is still engaging here, it's fine to actually continue here and push in another wave here and force the enemy to respond down here. But now it's getting into dangerous territory. You don't know where the enemy are anymore, you only see the Spectre and the Necro here briefly, and pushing straight into that tower with no backup. So yeah, this is very dangerous, and now that you see the line, definitely need to be running and not in that direction. Actually gets the rune, so that's fine. But yeah, he gets out of here unscathed, but this was quite a risky play and a bit unnecessarily taking that risk, because it's actually doing quite well and he's one of the most farmed heroes on the map, so dying here would be quite bad. He's still sticking around here, he's playing around with the enemy supports. He's seen both enemy supports nearby, and now he sees this TA running in, so he hides here, but should have been hiding a bit deeper here. And they find the Slark, who was still farming there, so Slark dies, but Enigma survives for now, I guess. And of course sending in those Necro units to push, so that's good. And you don't necessarily want to run away from here, but at least hide in the trees, and probably hide a bit deeper than this. So TA is running in, and I really like this movement here from the Necro units, moving past the tower and now hitting those creeps. Now we can maybe still get a couple of last hits here, and the TA won't be able to kill those units and claim the bounty. But while that is going on, Enigma actually blinking up here and doing something. I don't know what he's thinking here. He saw the TA nearby, and TA obviously is going to have, or at least a good chance that TA is going to have traps here. So this is a really bad move, and like, you don't want to farm a jungle camp here right next to this TA and right next to the enemy tower in the dead lane. That's just way too risky. So instead of going for the BKB, he's gone for a mech here, which is fine. Mech is a good item on Enigma. It's just that BKB is such a strong item in this game. There's just nothing that can go through your BKB here in this enemy lineup. It's going to guarantee you your black holes not to be interrupted, and it also just helps out so much against all the magic damage that is coming out of the dire lineup. So BKB here a must, and I think definitely a higher priority than mech. Enigma is just farming here, minding his own business, but he saw the TA here and he's not really reacting to that. And now the enemy come in here, and nice blink here by Lion. They just managed to assassinate Enigma before he gets off anything, and that's just a problem of positioning. Like, you saw those people coming here. You don't need to stand this close here. And you also saw that the enemy saw you because he attacked the trap here, so that's just poor positioning. If you stand back farther here, you can do a lot more. And maybe if you have your BKB ready, you can stand like this, but not if all you have is this blink tag and a mech. They're going for a smoke here into their own jungle, and there's a long range initiation onto this Necro, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because there's no follow-up here. A good blink black hole here, so that's nicely seen there that these two heroes are isolated and can be black holed. But even with that black hole, the fight is still not going well because that TA with her BKB is just too strong right now. She's by far the most farmed hero in this game, and all you can do in this point is just try to run, but you can't do that either. So you still have your Necro unit, so that's definitely something you need to send away. And he does it now, so that's good. Preserve those Necro units, push at the bot lane. So after winning that fight, for some reason, the enemy team does not go for Roshan, which they could do very easily with TA. Instead, they're going to do some sort of goofy push onto this tier 2 tower, which really is not very important tower to push. So they can hit that with TA, fine. But Necro is not nearby. And Spectre is not nearby, she has Haunt, that's fine, but fighting without Necro is a really bad fight for the enemy team. The Slark is really far forward, he gets killed, and as Enigma you can't really do that much in this fight. You can use your Greaves, fine, but you don't really want to fight out here with your team. So they lose their Slark, and now they have to retreat. Queen of Pain also still there for some reason, gets bashed and killed, and yeah, it's not really looking very good. So now the enemy are sieging the high ground, and for some reason Necrophos blinks up here. I guess he wanted to go for a kill on that Shadow Demon, but it's not going to work, and he is actually going to be able to walk it off, but considering what a good position they were in, that's not really what you want. They do get the kill on the Mirana though, so that's some compensation. And this Necro is still sticking around here, and he will eventually die. I don't know what that Necro was thinking here. The Dire still haven't roached, and for some reason they're still pushing here without Necro up. But they do get the tower, so that's nice. But now is a perfect time for a black hole here, even the line blinking into the black hole. So perfect black hole. Queen of Pain actually pushed some of them out of the black hole. That's a bit of a thing you have to watch out for as Queen of Pain, that you don't push people out of the black hole. But in any case, that's a resounding success, that fight. And that was just a really nice black hole, and well played there. But the problem is if you have the BKB, you kind of need to get these really, really good black holes. If that Lion actually had played it smarter and not blinked into the black hole, but just like somewhere here, you could have easily interrupted that channeling, and maybe the fight would have turned out differently. I don't like this movement here. He's pushing in the dead lane, which is fine, but you have to be careful. Like blinking forward to do this random camp, that's just not good. You just want to push out the wave with your summons and then do this sort of camp carefully. And he finds, or just found a little bit earlier, a Quickening Charm, which is an excellent item on Enigma. You could have also used that Enchanted Quiver, which is also quite nice. But Quickening Charm probably the best tier 3 item for Enigma. Just you have so many active abilities, you have these active items, cooldown reduction is incredibly strong on this hero. And once again, playing a bit too cavalierly here. This is not your jungle anymore. This is the enemy jungle at this stage of the game, especially if you're behind like this. And like showing you stuff like this when you don't know where the enemy heroes are is quite risky, and it's not even like an important outpost. If you do this like right before the 10-minute mark, then maybe you can justify that. But as it is, just doesn't really do anything. It just puts you in danger. If you want to play the dead lane, you need to be very careful about staying out of vision and mostly just pushing with your Eidolons and Necro units. Now the BKB is finally complete, but it's really, really late. 35 minutes, even though it's having an excellent game. This is far too late of BKB for a game like this. And now the next item it's going to go for is Necro 3. And the reason why you typically just stick with Necro 1 is just that it works out better in terms of timings. You need that BKB, you need that Blink Dagger early-ish, so if you go for Necro 3 right away, you would delay those other items too much. But in this case, you delayed them anyway by going for Guardian Greaves. So problem with Necro is just it doesn't do that much in team fights in most cases. And Enigma is not a hero that has a lot of synergy with that item. If you're a hero like Lycan, obviously go for Necro 3 because you have so much synergy with that item, you get so much movement speed, so much extra damage. But in Enigma, you don't really get anything extra except for like a little bit of cooldown reduction. So Necro 3 not that great, just keep it in Necro 1 just for the farming. And I mean, in late game, it's fine to upgrade this item, but more often than not, probably just want to sell it eventually when you run out of slots. A much better item, I think, in this game would be get a pipe. There's so much magic damage in the enemy team. Their 3 through 5 position do almost exclusively magic damage, and then I mean those 2, 1, and 2 heroes, they do mostly physical damage. But still, pipe very valuable here in this game, and definitely something that would help them much more than this Necro 3. Team just won a fight here, and they're still on the hunt. Enigma is slowly joining them. He, I guess, wants to push out that top wave. So mid wave is already pushing in, but I think you should just go into mid wave here and push on that tower and then go high ground with your team. So Enigma is still pushing on the top wave as they initiate here on TA, get a very nice arrow and kill her. And now finally our boy Azrael walks over here and tries to join that fight. Should have been here a long time ago. But this fight is still going fairly well. And with Enigma arriving, they're gonna get that BKB Black Hole. And yes, Blink Dagger. And these Black Holes here without using BKB, without using his Guardian Greaves, very bizarre choice here. There's really no reason to save that BKB. Like, sure, he didn't see anyone nearby that would have interrupted that, but still, this prevents the magic damage, and there's no reason to preserve those BKB charges on Enigma. A lot of other heroes having a 5-second BKB is much worse than 10 seconds, but for Enigma 5 seconds is almost as good as 10 seconds because that's still longer than the 4-second duration of Black Hole, and that's really all you're using a BKB for primarily. Just protect yourself while you're channeling that Black Hole, and just always use that BKB when you're Black Holing. There's just no reason to save it. So what item do you go for here next? There's a couple of options. Of course, Hex is always a strong late game option on pretty much any hero, and especially if you have that Blink Dagger for that instant initiation. Other strong items, Octarine Core is fine. You can go for an Aghanim Scepter, all viable alternatives. You can also go for something like an AC even, help out your teammates and provide a nice aura. You can get some armor from Shiva's Guard, you can get Solar Crest. A lot of viable items here, and he's gonna go for Octarine Core, which of course the cooldown reduction is quite nice on Enigma. But the lack of armor is kind of a problem in this game for Enigma. He only has 15 armor at this stage of the game, with all the armor reduction coming out of TA and all the physical damage that she deals. The Radiant won a team fight where Enigma was once again a bit late to the party, or didn't really show up at all. And that's a bit of a problem. It's definitely, you definitely want to fight with your team at this stage of the game. Like this split pushing and farming is nice and all, but you don't need to be there with your hero. Just let your minions do that. So now they're going to try to go high ground here, but there's not that much time left here. And they don't have a catapult or anything like that, so they don't have much time, but they can still try. But just important not to overcommit here. You can just walk in with us Eidolons, hit something, and now he blinks in here. And once again, uses that black hole without BKB, but he takes out the most important target, so that's nice. But if he had BKB here, he would easily survive this. With BKBs now, and barely walks it off, but that's really more luck than skill. And he just BKB'd right away, it would have been fine. So they're still winning this fight, of course. They took out the most important hero. So that's good, but could have been so much better with a BKB black hole. And now our Slark is a bit deep and a bit overcommitted, but he gets out. So still an excellent fight, but could have been much better. Roshan just respawned and they immediately into the pit, so that's good awareness here from them, as they are currently a much stronger team. So they're going to win a fight on open ground with a BKB black hole available. And one thing you have to watch out for now at this stage of the game is that the TA has her meld hit dash, which goes through BKB, and Spectre has her Abyssal Blade, so these two units can still interrupt your BKB. Slark engages onto Lion, and Enigma comes in, and of course you want to go in and blink and get that BKB black hole off. But what he's done here is he's clicked black hole too far away, and black hole has a very, very low cast range, and he's clicked it somewhere here, so the enemy team will have time enough to split up, and that black hole gets cast and immediately cancelled. And that just feels really bad as Enigma. So with TA coming in, this is now kind of a fair fight, but they're so far ahead that even with a Rift black hole, they can still win this fight and possibly go high ground. So they're going to kill off this Lich, and then they have a catapult Rift coming eventually here, but maybe they can even take that tower before then. And right now, with their black hole down, you just want to sort of stay behind here, use the guiding grease, and still provide some value with your Malefice and your Midnight Pulse, and of course with your Eidolons. So Eidolons, of course, are quite fragile, but they do a ton of damage here, especially with those talents, with the 50 Eidolon damage and the +6 conversion units. That is so much normal damage that gets dealt to this tower, and you see how fast that tower dies. Those Eidolons hitting it. So when the Eidolons all die, they get the tower, and as Enigma, you just want to stay back here with your team, heal them up, and wait for that black hole to come back online. But Spectre comes in, so you just stay patient here. Don't use anything important like the BKB because you need it for your black hole later on. And now black hole is almost up, so we want to already be casting the Midnight Pulse here. Cast it here, which could have been a bit farther forward here, but that's okay. And just hitting those buildings with your Eidolons, and then take the Rexes and lose some heroes along the way, but still, of course, a very good trade here, and they're now 22k ahead. So this game is now fairly easy from this point on forward. But because it's fun to watch these large Eidolon armies roam around the map, we're gonna look at this replay a little bit longer. And while we do so, let's talk a little bit about talents here. Talent choices were the 150 Eidolon attack range. Honestly, level 10 talents are fairly weak, both of them. Doesn't really matter too much which one you choose. Then level 15, cooldown reduction is generally stronger. You have so many active abilities and items that cooldown reduction is king here. Then Eidolon damage is great, so this gives you so much pushing power. If you're in a game where Eidolons just die constantly, maybe you're gonna go for the health one. But generally Eidolon damage, so much pushing power, so much farming power, really strong talents. and then of course it pairs up really well with that 6 demonic conversion Eidolons. You just have so many Eidolons, they do so much damage, and you just saw how much they did against all those buildings in that high ground push. What you want to do with those Eidolons is you want to split them up. You don't want to have all those Eidolons in the same lane, because they're going to push that in really easily, even if you have fewer Eidolons. So, you know, take like half those Eidolons and have them do some camps nearby. That's a much more efficient use of that time, and it's going to maximize your farm. Also, it means that there's not going to be this growth of like 15 Eidolons for some enemy hero to kill if they go to that lane. Because in the early game, you don't need to worry too much about feeding Eidolons, they don't give that much gold and experience. But still, if you kill like 15 of them, that's going to add up. You're going to see how fast this tower drops here. Those Eidolons hitting it, so that's really nice. Another fight going on here, and this time actually using his BKB before using that black hole, so that is what he's supposed to do, and they're going to win this fight quite handily, I think. But with TA coming in, gonna kill off Enigma, and actually this fight is a bit closer than I thought. Yeah, even though he's doing the right thing now, he's doing the proper black holing, it didn't really give them that much. I guess a big part of the reason is just that black holing Spectre is a lot less impactful than black holing TA. Spectre doesn't ever have that much damage output, whereas TA is where most of the damage is, and of course Spectre also a lot tankier, and yeah, she has that dispersion, which can be quite painful. So after winning that fight, the Dire want to push, or at least TA does. The rest of the team are just randomly dicking around. The Spectre just goes and farms this jungle camp for some reason. I don't understand what's happening. This huge juicy creep wave here. All the enemy heroes are dead. Why do you farm random jungle camps? Also, of course, kind of goofy for the TA just to solo push up here. But really, his team should have been with her. But given that he wasn't with her, he shouldn't just do these kind of stubborn frustration moves. So they're pushing for the high ground. The TA is still dead. And once again, same mistake as in the early game. Blinking in there blindly. And you just need to look before you blink in there. Blinking in blindly just not gonna allow you to reliably get those good black holes. But they're so far ahead that the quality of the black holes doesn't really matter anymore, and they can just push in here and hit those axes. So if you like this video, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, join the fold by subscribing and hitting that little bell button. And all this willing, I'll see you next time.